You were my Love Island experience, and I wouldn't want it any other way.
I'm regretful for the way that I spent the past few days in not being true to how I felt deep down, and it took me until today to tell you.
I wish I could have spent more time with you. I wish I could have finished this with you, but it just wasn't in the cards for us.
You and Connor had a 3-film saga that played out on screen. I mean, so much was packed into this time on Love Island. So
Yes.
Let's break it down. How hard was it to be in the villa with Connor, especially after you and Jalen had called it off?
It was extremely difficult to be in there with Connor, even when Jalen and I were at our best. I think Jalen was more of almost like a distraction for me. I think that I kind of associated him with the feeling of Casa Amor when I was free and I was having fun. But the moment Connor came back, it was very hard to see him. I missed him a lot. And once he was, pursuing things with Moira, it was even harder. And I think that's why I was kind of ready to leave, because I realized I really couldn't be in there and not be with him. It was too hard for me personally.
Yeah, I want to know your thoughts on the Connor Moira recoupling, because it was almost like it came off like you felt betrayed by them and maybe thought Connor was going to pick you or you guys were going to have a second go at things. How did you feel about it?
Yeah, so I think the reason why I did feel, some feelings of I know betrayal is a strong word, and I know that I said that, and it did feel that way in some regards, only because Connor and Moira were not close at any point in the show, especially, prior to Casa Amor. And I had become best friends with Moira. That was my girl. And then Connor was obviously my guy. And they were very much never each other's people.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I kind of felt like, of all the people in the villa, of all the people you could go for, the fact that they would, know how I felt about both of them and then move forward, it was a tough pill to swallow, but I also knew that it was not my place to stand in the way of it. My frustration was that I felt like I wasn't getting honest answers from Moira or Connor as to what their intentions were, because all of my conversations with Moira were about a friendship, and very much a friendship. And even at the thought, the night before the recoupling, the thought of coupling up with Connor in a romantic way made her cringe, straight up cringe. So to then have it change so quickly and find out through other people and not through them was very upsetting. And I didn't feel like Moira was able to be honest with me. And all I asked was for honesty. And Connor never asked me. He definitely did not need my permission whatsoever, but he never came to me and said, I know that I'm spending a lot more time with Moira. I know that it might be romantic between us eventually. How do you feel about this? Are you feeling okay? Do you want to talk about it? Because as soon as I came back from Casa with Jalen, I tried to check in with Connor every day, at least once a day, and see how he was doing. And I just wanted the same respect from Connor. And I just kind of felt like neither of them was really asking me or telling me what was going on. And I think that was what I really struggled with. And I really started to feel isolated, because here's the people I'm the closest to. And I did feel like there wasn't as much consideration for my feelings.
Your guys' conversation was really interesting, because it was you guys were talking about it and then it cuts to her confessional and she was almost annoyed by the conversation. How did you guys leave things? Do you guys feel like you were on good terms or?
Annoyed? Oh, I had no idea she was
Yeah,
annoyed.
I guess you haven't seen it yet, but it was you were talking about them coupling up and saying, I'm gonna kind of keep my distance from Connor today. And then it cuts to her confessional or whatever. And she's we're not she's not the only one with an ex in here. It's kind of selfish kind of reaction.
I don't know if Mackenzie is thinking as clearly as the rest of us. I think a lot of us have ex-couplings in here and are handling it just fine. But I think, Mackenzie might be making a little bit bigger of a deal about it. And I think it's a little selfish.
I think that the only person who could relate to how I felt about Connor being my ex is Selly with Johnny, if they were to ever break up. The level of where Connor and I were at versus the other couples, the only comparable couple is Johnny and Selly. Maybe later on, another couple could be at that level, but I also would never ever go for Calvin. And, you know, that's the thing. And my point of what I was trying to say to her was with Moira was I wanted to salvage our friendship because that was a priority for me. But I felt like if I wasn't honest about how I was feeling, then it would be impossible to do that. And so everybody realized, apparently other than Moira, that Connor's recoupling speech sounded like it was about me. And most of the guys admitted later they thought that he was about to pick me. And that was why I was so hurt by it, was it was things that were specifically sounding like us. And I communicated that to Moira and I said, that's why I need to keep my distance because this is feeling too personal. And I think that you guys haven't really been honest about where this is going. And she didn't express any kind of annoyance with me, nothing whatsoever. So that is surprising to me to hear. And clearly she was not being honest with me about it because, I mean, the night before the recoupling, she said, I hope that new boys come in. And I said, why? And she said, because we can meet new boys.
I feel like you were operating like the real world where everyone else was like in game mode or something. Like you were operating like a real person.
I do feel like for me, there were elements of this process that I know we're supposed to like just give into the process. But for me, whether it's real world or villa world, I was never going to go for someone's ex that I was that close to.
Right.
And I really felt like Moira and I's friendship was on another level, that it was kind of one of those things where if they did have these romantic feelings, I was going to be supportive, but it was the dishonesty and the talking behind my back about it. But that is something that I struggled with the whole time I was on the show, was I did feel like everything I would say behind someone's back, I would then say to their face. And that was why I did have awkward conversations like that one with Moira, because I'm like, I'm not going to keep telling everybody else in the villa that I'm mad at Connor for his speech. And I knew he had thought about picking me. I'm not going to just keep talking about other people and not tell Moira. And that was what I did. And you know, if she had side conversations or was talking about it that I didn't know, then, I mean, I keep it real. I tell everybody, I don't have like a hidden agenda, or I don't talk about things behind people's back. That's just not my style.
I mean, at the end there, like you and Connor had this really tearful conversation. Do you regret anything about how things played out with Connor? Is there anything you wish you said to him that you didn't say?
Well, I don't know how much they included on the show of Connor and I's conversation upstairs on the balcony, but it was a very overdue conversation about everything that had happened, everything we were feeling, because I had heard from Justine that Connor still had feelings for me, but Connor, every time I spoke to him, was trying to play it cool and like never expressed to me any kind of sadness about our breakup or anything. And so that was the first time that we both admitted to each other, like we still have feelings for each other, we miss each other. We had to go through self-growth before we both realized we needed to grow more as individuals before we could work as a couple. Because I do think that there are elements of our relationship that were amazing, and I do think that in the real world we could have a great relationship. I just feel like so much of this experience is about preparing yourself as a person to receive love and be ready for love. And I feel like as individuals in the villa, we were not ready for that level of relationship.
Do you think, you know, if Connor and Moira are just friendship couple, he comes out single or whatever, like, do you guys think there's potential there after the island?
I definitely think if Connor comes out single, then I would love, you know, to get his phone number and to talk and to really see if we have a real shot at this. At least I just miss my best friend. Like, it was so hard. Obviously you see how amazing Connor is, and I was never blind to that. I knew how lucky I was, and that was why when we were having problems and I felt like maybe we aren't what's best for each other, it was really difficult because I know I'm never going to meet another guy like Connor. I know he is truly like the sweetest person. And that is why it was so difficult for me. And I don't show my emotions always on my face. A lot of times when I'm truly hurt by something, you won't see it on my face. I very much try to hide it. And it's really the times where I'm not as upset that I'm like more vocal and maybe I cry about it. And it's just, I'm weird the way I express myself sometimes. But, you know, obviously before I left, he told me I love you for the first time. And he had never said that to me before. And he said it in front of everybody. And then he said it again when we were speaking privately. And I know he had a lot of regret because he had considered recoupling with me. And I think that he did feel responsible for me leaving. And I think he just didn't realize that our time was so limited. And I know that he did have some regrets. And he voiced to me that he wanted to see me on the outside and, you know, give this a shot. But I very much understand that he's got to continue his journey in there. And I think he's got to carry it through, whether that's with Moira as a friendship, whether it's more than a friendship, whether it's someone new, I don't know. But I respect that. I feel like I had my journey and it was done. I felt like it was done. I felt ready to go. And I know that his isn't over yet. So do I hope he'll come out single? Yeah, but I also just want what's best for him and whatever makes him happy, honestly.
We watched so much growth between you. Like, Connor really pissed me off when he went on that date with Lauren and then came back and was like, I want to be I actually don't want to be your boyfriend anymore. And like, he didn't communicate. And I was like, why are you acting like this? And then when you came back with Jalen, I was like, Mackenzie, what are you doing? And now I'm just like, it's coming full circle. Like, they can find their way back to each other. They've both grown. They're ready.
Yeah. I definitely feel that way. I think that, like I said, I think Love Island, like you're in there looking for love, but the greatest takeaway is self-love. Because if you don't have that level of self-love, the confidence, the care for yourself, like prioritizing yourself and what you need and what's best for you, then this process will wreck you and it will destroy you because it is so up and down, it's emotional, it's raw, it's real. And I just feel like if Connor and I reach a point where we feel very good with ourselves and where we're at in our lives, I think that, you know, sky's the limit. I think we could work out, and I am hopeful, but I also think that if we just have an amazing friendship, like that would be incredible too. So,
well, I want to talk about Jalen really quick because you recoupled with him and then yeah, I was gonna say, do you regret that?
Absolutely.
So he pissed me off. Okay, so he gets into the villa. He's with you. He was like all in with you, and then it was like as soon as he knew he was in, he pulled the switch and was like, "Oh, I'm into Kirsten. I kind of want to pull back." And
he was playing a game.
Yeah,
I was vulnerable. He knew that. For me, like going into Casa Amor, I was in such a state of mind because I had all these ups and downs with Connor, and the house at that point had very much, the boys had made me feel like I was the villain and Connor was this innocent person to be protected. And so I felt like I was walking on eggshells in the villa. And so when the boys left, the reason why you see me being so comfortable, so free is because these boys, while they had their opinions about what they saw on TV, they gave me like a real shot and they gave me a chance to just be myself. And I think that I had expressed, you know, no one has tried to go for me other than Connor. And I'm like, it's weird in the outside world, I'm used to being hit on, but in here it's like, there's guys coming in all the time, but they know I'm unavailable. And I think that Jalen saw me as an easy target. And I think that he saw like, you know what, if I can get her to like me and like trust me, then I'll get a spot in the villa. And I genuinely believe he was playing a game, and I don't think I'm wrong about that still. So
and I felt like he was completely influenced by what he saw on TV versus what the guys were putting into his head. I don't know, I didn't even know what happened there.
I think that he wanted a spot in the house, and I think that he liked me well enough. But the thing is, we noticed, like, he said to Moira that he was all in on her, he's so into her. He says, then when he comes to me, he's talking badly on Moira. And I'm trying to defend Moira, and I even encouraged him, talk to Moira, talk to Kirsten. Like, these are my girls, they're great, go talk to them. He's like, no, I'm only into you, I'm all in on you. And then he goes in, and then he comes in the house, and he's immediately acting different. And I think the moment he saw the way, like, because I wasn't that popular with the boys at the time, I think he was like, well, you know what, I might get eliminated if I stay coupled up with Kinsey, so I'm going to ditch her and I'm going to go for someone else. And so he went from calling us the power couple one day to speaking in the kitchen at me in a very disrespectful manner, to the point where then I go outside and sleep on a couch outside rather than being in a bed with him.
Yeah.
And then tries to paint it like I was the bad guy in the situation, taking advantage of the fact that the guys in the house didn't really have the best opinion of me based on their own assumptions of what was happening. And then he went for Cher. And, you know, I'm just like, it's so obviously a game. And I did feel very used, and it was upsetting because I really think I should have just come back from Casa Amor single and still told Connor, I think we need space, but I think we should be single. And Connor was like, I wish you had done that. And I think I just thought that if I came back single, I would be so easy to slide back into old habits with Connor, and I wouldn't really take that space that I needed. And, you know, it is probably my only regret in the villa, honestly, was bringing Jalen back from the Casa experience.
Seeing Connor walk out holding your teddy bear was so soul crushing. I mean, what was going through your mind in that moment?
So this was something, I don't know if it was included on the show, but something that I frequently talked about after I had sent Gus, because my every intention was to be winning for Connor when he came back. And that was why I sent Gus. Because honestly, at the beginning of Casa, I thought Connor might come back with another girl. Like, that was what I was thinking was going to happen. And I was like, I'll be waiting here. He'll know because I sent Gus. Once I realized that maybe it wasn't the best thing for us to be together anymore, and I was starting to have these questions about it, I was like, oh my God, though, he's going to come back in with Gus. And I just, like, I had several panic attacks leading up to it, because I'm like, I cannot even tell you how much it upset me that I could not communicate with Connor and explain to him what was going on and what was happening. Because even though I did not cry, my heart literally broke when he was with Gus like that. I was broken. It hurt so badly. It was too much. I'm
curious to get your thoughts on some of the other couples, because Johnny and Selly, America's, I don't know how they feel about Johnny. So you obviously didn't see what went down in Casa Amor, but you probably heard about it with the girl, Sadie. Yeah. And I talked to her, and she and the other girls in Casa Amor were like, yeah, Johnny was coming on to her, pursued her, kind of claimed her, all this stuff. And then there's also Johnny's ex on TikTok saying that he was like kind of possessive, and they were like, he had like proposed to her like right before he came to the villa. So I'm just, I don't know, red flags about Johnny. I'm just curious how you feel.
Johnny, I mean, there's a reason why out of everyone in the house, I never wanted to have a conversation with him. Like,
he was hard on you. He was really hard on you.
I know he was. And I think he was hard on me because I think he knew that I saw through him. And I think that I was one of the only ones that didn't buy it. And that's why I never made an effort to talk to him. I never made an effort to get to know him, because I just did not buy what he was selling at all. But I also knew that in that house, there was no one who was on my side about the Johnny situation. So I didn't try to bring it up. I was not trying to hurt Selly. Like, I was like, this is how I feel, and I'm questioning who he is. I don't know who he is as a person, but I'm not a fan of what I've seen. And I knew what he was saying about me, which I thought was so funny, because I'm like, you're the most vocal about my relationship when you don't know me and you barely really know Connor that well. So why are you the mouthpiece about this? But that was like, Johnny was very much in charge of what happened in the villa. And if you weren't on Johnny's good side, then you were on the wrong side. So.
Protect Selly at all costs. I hope you're wrong, but viewers are getting a lot of red flags.
Yeah, I don't know what his intentions are with Selly. They might be genuine with Selly, and I hope they are. I feel like they probably are. But as a person, Johnny and I did not connect. No, I was not a fan.
Oh, I was like, I know we just touched on this, but I was like so annoyed that the guys were so mad at you when you came back with Jalen, because Connor did something very similar. Like, he went on a date with Lauren and was like, yeah, I'm interested, and then came back and like broke up with you. So I was like, it's not that
Well,
different.
So what he did was he went on the date with Lauren and acted as though he was single when at the time we were boyfriend and girlfriend.
Yeah.
Then admits to me that he had told everybody that we weren't boyfriend girlfriend, but then once he gets back, proceeds to then ask me again to be his girlfriend up on the rooftop.
It was so frustrating. I was like, Connor, I was on your side, man. You've left me.
but that was my dilemma and that was when I kind of started to reach the point where I was questioning if I was going to be able to succeed in that house, because Connor was getting away with things and I understand why Connor did the things he did, but to give him, like immunity or not hold him accountable for what he did with Lauren, but then to crucify me is what I did not understand, because I very much vocalized to the girls and to Connor, if you had never done what you did with Lauren, I would have absolutely waited for you without a doubt. I was loyal the whole time. It was only once he had gone up and down with how he felt, and I did not know if he was going to come back single. And so that was why I went about Casa the way that I did, because he had been so inconsistent with his feelings that I'm like, I've been loyal and I've been disappointed before, so I need to do what's best for me. And the boys I just don't think were willing to see that though. Like they didn't. And what I also heard was when they were in Casa, they kept telling Connor, she's going to come back with a guy. So it's like, if you thought that I was going to come back with someone else and then I did, then why were you so upset if you literally thought I was going to do that? That's right. What I couldn't understand. I think what I do want to say is like, people don't understand what it's like to be in that experience. And unfortunately, we are there for love, yes, but so much of it has to do with the other people in the house and in these group interactions. And I was struggling so much with how I was dealing with being in this house with these people who did not necessarily have my back, like in the guys. They were not supportive. So it was very hard to be my best self then in my relationship. And I do wish that I could have had more self-awareness of how I was feeling about the situation in the house, so that way I could have appreciated Connor more and I could have communicated better when I was upset and expressed more to him that it was never him, it was not what he was doing, because I think I just assumed that he knew it wasn't about him, and I just wish that I had expressed that more to him. And I wish that I had come back from Casa Amor single and just really had an honest conversation with Connor and said, look, I don't know if we should be a romantic couple, but I know how much I care about you and I've fallen for you and I love being around you, but are we what's best for each other? I wish that we had had that conversation that we had on my last day. I wish we'd had that 4 days prior, but I think that everything happens for a reason. And Connor and I always talked about timing, and because we realized that if we hadn't paired up on the first day, we probably never would have paired up, just because of the way that we are as people, and it was so unexpected that we ended up together. And so that's why I kind of have faith that the timing of how things happen and when I left, that maybe I needed to leave for us to reconcile and get back together on the outside. Like maybe it had to happen that way. Maybe that was the timing of it. And you know, I just wish that I could have spent more time with him there. I do, but it is what it is. And I had an amazing experience, and I'm really glad that I got to leave the way that I did and not have this like laundry list of things I wish I had done, you know, so.